Hello, viewers. Glad you're here, and it's going to be an interesting conversation. And we are privileged to have Dr. Michael Liu with us. Dr. Michael Liu is our chairman and CEO of Dow Tech, and Dr. Michael is a Chinese American with the home based actually right now in Newport Coast, California. Dr. Michael, thank you for joining. It might be a late evening for you, and we are glad to have your valuable time for this conversation. Uh, Dr. Michael obtained his Bachelor of Economics from a very known university in China, Wuhan University, in 1990, and followed by an MBA degree at Wayne State University, Michigan, US, in 1994. Driven by the passion of economic research, he graduated from Beijing University in PhD on economics. We know him more of as an economics at the same time. Dr. Michael is visiting professor and researcher at Beijing University and Wuhan University. His remarkable research interests and accomplishment in microeconomics, global economy, and industry research creates a difference about the way we know him. Personality is a great, and he's the taskmaster. He's the one who drives the people from a people perspective. Dr. Michael is serious investor at the same time in multiple global platforms in China, US, and India. He has been participating on setting up two investment funds with the total investment of total $300 million. Dr. Michael has been sitting on advisory board with the Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Information Technology of China on national policy development on certain industries, as well as to the government officers on the province and the city levels. Dr. Michael has been awarded by the Chinese government as one of the top 100 overseas in returnees, the figure of the years of outsourcing industry for many years by the Ministry of Information Technology. He has been awarded as one of the best entrepreneurs in Xi'an high-tech. In short, Michael is known globally as successful global economist, investor, and frontrunner leader across geographies and across industries. He has been a global personality, and we have been having a privilege of having him right now in our studio here. It's our privilege to introduce and welcome Dr. Michael for this Fire Talk to address and guide us on the global trends around electric vehicle as transformation from fuel driven, and also have some of the key countries are already ahead in the race. So, hello, Dr. Michael. Our first question to you, and thank you for your valuable time and attending this for us in the late evening from Newport Coast, California. So, Dr. Michael, how you see this EV industry transforming and the change in adoption globally across? We'd like to hear your views and suggestions for our viewers, Dr. Michael.
Yeah, good morning, Manish. Thank you for your host. Good morning, audience, my friends from India. Yes, this is very broad questions. How the global is transforming to the EV. Uh, I would like to start from the couple videos, which is people can click the following links to start the enjoy the videos. So from the videos, in the last 2 weeks, in the EV industry globally, everyone is talking about Norway. So like GM, last Saturday, which is February 7th, there was Super Bowl. Super Bowl is big event in the US for the sports, for the music, also for the advertisement. On that advertisement event, GM threw this video out. Meanwhile, they published the video on the GM's YouTube site. Quickly, there are more than 1 million people view it. And almost at the same time, Ford Motor and Audi, they responded to this advertisement. There is some kind of battle going on. So we have to asking ourselves, why suddenly Norway? What's happening in Norway? Just like in the advertisement of GM, most people didn't figure out where's Norway. The guy get to the Sweden, thought that it was Norway. And people started at the Finland. So the Norway to the regular people is far, far away. So what's happened over there? So why everybody trying to rush over there? Every company trying to make the big announcement over there. So what's happened? If we further analyze this as a case, we will see great future and the trend, how the EV transforming is happening. Is going to help, it's going to happen further. So let's look at Norway. Norway, as a small country, very far north from the India. India is a South Asia. Norway is North Europe. It's very far. Only 5 million people. And so for these kind of smaller countries, the first time in the human being's history, the EV sales is larger than traditional fuel-driven vehicles at the year 2020. 54% of the vehicles sold in this particular country is EV. Thinking globally, thinking history, something is phenomenal, milestone is happening. 100 years ago, when the human being started the automotive generation, which is driven by the Henry Ford, we asking ourselves, what is the driving power of the automotive? At that time, Rockefeller, as another founder, created the oil industry refinery at the Philadelphia of the U.S., which is Henry Ford is at the Detroit. They're 8 hours driving distance away. So some by the fortune, history clicked by those two gentlemen. Automotive driven by the oil. Because almost at that time, human being also asking whether the automotive could be driven by electricity. However, at that time, Edison just created the electricity. So electricity's transmission power is so hard. So for the different consideration of the power, human being pick the oil. So the history for the 100 years start from there. Oil is so cheap. Why? Because there are no any other use at the early of last century. The only usage from Rockefeller is for the lighting purpose. You can imagine how cheap the oil is. So after the Second World War, leading by the US, the world entered to the automotive age. So the car get bigger and bigger. Samsung, if you look at the motorcycle, Harley Davidson also after Second World War. They get bigger, they get powerful because oil is cheap. Just use it. Mileage is not a big issue. Just do it. And then we look at in the 70s, in the Middle East, they they created the countries. They created as cartel. They want to control the price of oil. Or almost overnight, the oil price go skyrocket high. And the people, no oil. In the gas station, people have to wait hours in order to get oil. Suddenly, global economy freezed. In the meanwhile, driven by the Japanese automotive company, such as Honda, Toyota, Nissan, all those players, they make the car much smaller. Fuel efficiency is much higher. If not because of the oil crisis, those kind of car nobody is going to buy in the US. So because in the late of 70s, the world is changing. The world changing says get the oil efficiency is most important. Get a smaller car is important. Almost overnight, Toyota and Honda beat the Detroit Big Three. In Detroit, people say GM, Ford, and Chrysler as Big Three. Very badly, very badly. If we remember, if some people older like my age, so at that time, Chrysler filed bankruptcy twice. That's the worst time in Detroit. US is not ready for the fuel efficiency. It's not ready for smaller cars, for the durable, reliable usages. Layoff, jobless is so high, criminals, it's everywhere. Worst time, late 80s, early 90s in the US, in the Detroit. Certainly, US fighting back. So the world moved to the smaller vehicle fuel efficiency. However, as we know, oil has been consumed most by the automotives. Even the Europe 3, those higher standard of the cleaning of the oil, but still, that caused a lot of pollutions. So human beings get to another turn point. What we should do? If we say there's three turning points. Number one is what is driving power for the automotive? Second is in the middle of the oil crisis, what kind of automotive can be good for human being, which is Japanese emerging up, smaller vehicles, smaller size. And right now, we're almost at the third turning point. Pollutions, oil prices going skyrocket high. So what's the solutions? Every country is trying. Around probably 10, 15 years ago. Like in the US, Tesla greatly built the answer, which is electrical vehicle. Last year, 2020, the first time electrical vehicle made by the Tesla sold almost 500,000, 500,000 vehicles. US and China, they have more than the million EV four-wheelers being sold. If we look at globally, Norway. Norway on the total volumes is not the biggest. However, on the percentage-wise, it is biggest, which is electricity-driven vehicle can be bigger than the fuel-driven vehicles. So we're so lucky. Right now, at this moment, we are witness the history. If we're looking back, there are the three histories. Early of the 19th centuries, 1970s, and right now. So let's put ourselves on the driver's seat. We're in India, not only see how that is going to change in the rest of the country, let's also back up. Let's make the change in the India together. That's also Dao's mission and purpose to be established in India. So looking histories and looking for the futures, which is the model created by the Norway. So I hope that is well explained. So where the human being is going to. That's part of the reason. The CEO of the GM is saying, we admire Norway. To me, all those funny advertisements, it is showed the industry salute from the fuel-driven industry to the vehicle, automotive industry, to the EV industry. That's big salute. Very quickly, also happened last week, Ford is dedicated $57 billion to make the EVs. And Ford Motor saying, by the 2035, they don't want to make any traditional fuel-driven vehicles. The world is rapidly, aggressively changing. So that leave a lot of, thinking to our India consumer, to our India friends. So that's probably the one of the hardest topic on the global horizon happened in the last 2 weeks. Yes, back to you, Manish. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Michael, for the great insight. And as you mentioned, the early years of 90s and then the 70s, 1970, and then how we see these three turning points. It's a great insight, Dr. Michael. And it will be further great to know from you, as you well explained about the global perspective for different countries and especially about Norway. It will be great to understand how do you see this for India, and how we see this transformation. What should we learn from these best practices coming up across the globe, and what should be the India position at this stage to take it ahead?
Thank you. Thanks for the strong support from India government. We fully believe India as a country is going to be on the leading role of this transformation. At the year of 2019, central government of India made the policy of the FAME 2. At that policy, the government cut down the GST for this particular industry from 12% to the 5%. From our research, we don't see any other industry only take the 5% GSTs. That's big encouragement and support for the consumer, but they're not taxed almost. In the meanwhile, government support the industry with the fiscal plan. One is a subsidy. Certainly right now, some people they're complaining, say, oh, because that's a jeopardized industry. From global and economic standpoint, I fully believe government did it right, which is encouraging the lithium battery, encouraging the high speed for the two-wheelers, particularly for two-wheelers, because they only give the subsidy for the speed over the 25 kilometer per hour. In the India, that's called high speed. Yes, at this moment, majority of India's electrical two-wheelers still the low speed. They've been sold to the countryside, tier 2, tier 3 cities. However, if you have to look at the India's future, where is India's consuming power? If we remember, India is the largest global outsourcing country in the world. 60% of GDP is generated by the 15% of population in the outsourcing services industries. What does that translate? Those consumers, they create the national economy. They create their own wealth. They need to buy the something. We need to make them satisfied. So if they want the high speed, hey, the government support that. In the meanwhile, as any smart government, they're developing the policy to encourage it for the future. So yes, that's debatable. But for us, we think that's a great policy. Only give the subsidy for the high speed. The third, government is gave a lot of support, such as especially on the city level, such as registration fees, toll road, parking fees, exemption of the congestion fees. That's a particular in Delhi. Last year, 2020 alone, to our knowledge, more than 10 states in India developed state-level policy to support the EV industry. For example, we're at the company, we're at the Hyderabad, AP and Telangana, they already developed the policies. Those kind of policy, almost every 2 months, they're either by the department of each vertical industry department of India central government or by the state government. There are always something going on. Very important couple milestones as government policy I would like to mention is number one, last year, India as the first major global economy, they have the encouraging policy to separate battery with vehicle. That's a very smart move. That has huge impact in the industry. Even right now, it is only on the surface. Because that creates the possibility to separate vehicle with battery. You know, the battery swap, especially for the two-wheeler, is a faster, is a feasible, is an affordable way to develop this industry. And right now, even some people saying in India say, okay, EV is too expensive compared to the fuel-driven. But however, for the fuel-driven, who give you the 3 years, even the 5 years, free oil? If you consider of that, so the EV is not expensive. In the meanwhile, if the government create a possibility to separate the battery with the vehicle, we can foresee in the very near future, the EV price is going to be dropped very dramatically because more than the 40, almost to the 50% of the vehicle price go to the battery. That's what we say. If we compare the apple to apple, banana to banana, basically we assume in the fuel-driven two-wheelers, nobody give you the 3 years or 5 years fill. So the price is going to be different. That policy is important. And then the city level policy like Delhi city government say by the 2023 April, the 50% of the last mile delivery vehicle need to be the EV. By the 2025, 100% EV. That's already changing. For the e-commerce company, they're on the fast gear to change to the EV. Tremendous opportunities. There's a lot of details policy in the Delhi, leading by Delhi government. For example, there's a toll road, there's congestions, all restriction phase all being waived. So if the Norway set the example to the rest of the world, let's examine the Norway's policy development in the last 20 years. Very similar like what's India right now. They also have exemption of the toll road, parking fees, as well as 50% subsidy for the company cars to change to the EV. Because the vehicle industry is very interesting. It's fully regulated by the government. For example, on the plate, on the, those kind of restrictions, toll road, and all those. Consumer, they're smart. If the government gives them the push for the direction, and then in the meanwhile, industry making the big push to provide a durable, reliable product, then it's going to happen. So if we see the Norway in the last 15 years make it happen, we think that India is going to be accelerate. It's going to happen very quick in the next 5 years. So that is part of a McKinsey report. McKinsey last year they developed a report called the mobility industry of the COVID-19 in India. So on that report, it's a very interesting finding. McKinsey, as a leading global consulting company, they describe the India's industry, EV industry, is going to grow 20 times in the next 4 years. So that kind of speed we're going to see. As industry players, we're seeing the volume picking up. That is changing. Some other we're developing the dealers and roll out the product very fast. So how industry as EV, that is some kind of speed we're seeing. However, this certainly is not the. We have to anticipate there is supposed to be not the easy road. There will be some kind of bumping. The biggest hurdle we need to pass, it is quality. Because India's EV industry started 10 years ago. India company didn't put enough time and enough focus on quality. For example, for the traditional fuel-driven motorcycles, typical usage 5 to 10 years, easily. And then, however, for the EV, only for the 12 months or 18 months, it could be wear down, tear down. So that's very bad. That hurt the India's consumer and further hurt the image of the India's EV industry. Most people they're laughing at India's EV industry. So that is for the girl, for the child. It's not serious. So if any player can be serious on the quality, provide the durable and the reliable product, that is going to make the change. So as Dow, we're very committed on our best qualities. We go global, find the best components, and then assemble it, and then to develop it to give our customers. So we see the future. We see the future is happening. However, right now, as every OEM, we have to ask what we can do to achieve there, what we can do to change our image, what we can do to help our consumers. So if we can make something change like that, the India, just like the India already be the largest two-wheeler country in the world, I believe India will be the largest two-wheelers in EV industry. Because as we know, India's per capita GDP is $2,100 last year. So India's registered vehicle, 91%, they are the two-wheelers. If the EV is going to be happen, that is going to happen on the two-wheelers first. So future is very bright. However, as I said, that is our duty and the job as OEM to make the reliable, durable product. Remember, there's the slogan from the Ford: quality, job number one. That's what's for ourselves, and also I hope could be shared by the whole industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Michael, for the great insight and the government support available in India, and what are the key uh, suggestions made by you will be truly helpful for our viewers. Just in brief, if we have to, create a summary out of this, and request you to make, top three suggestions for our viewers who are aspirants in this EV industry. So, what are the key suggestions or the things that you would like to give as your key message to the audience and the viewers, Dr. Michael? That will be really helpful for the viewers.
Sure, thank you. Uh, as the investors, because my major is investors, as a investor's suggestion to my peer investors in India, my first suggestion to them: move quick, move early, because the EV industry, it is going to happen big. It is happening right now. So typically, it's the first come, first serve scenario. Because the brand is like that, and then even for the dealers, particularly like Dow right now, we're developing dealers. Even for the dealers, first come, first serve. So whoever can make the strong brand, consider of the India, the average age is only the 27 years old. Strong brand is needed over there to create the brand, a strong brand, move faster, move earlier. In the meanwhile, to working with reliable OEM, including suppliers, to create the ecosystem. That is very important. Make the decision to move quick right now. Second, to the consumers. So to the consumers, the point is try something new, take the courage. However, you have to look at how you pick the right product. So basically, the typical we already know the typical ownership cost is lower compare between the EV and then the future motorcycle. However, after that is a supporting system. What kind of support you will get? Uh, there's a two part. First part is talking about the illusion. People will say, no, 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 India, we're not ready yet for the EV. We need to have the charge point. We need to have infrastructure. You have to look at a little bit deeper. For the two-wheeler, what kind of infrastructure you need? Instead of waiting to be charged, maybe simple like the battery can be removable, can take the battery to your apartment, to your home, to your office to charge. That's the first step. Second, even for the battery, who has a battery swap plan? So the third for the end user consumers, remember durable, reliable qualities. What kind of warranties? How many years the vehicle can be used? So that's all count. So, you know, this is a new vehicle type, EV. If the cost is really lower, the usage is very convenient. I believe the consumer is going to make the quick move. The third suggestion I would like to give to the OEM or friends. We have to keep the consumer in the center of our focus. For the young and really premature industry, we have to look at how the consumer they need. And instead of, because to the traditional fuel-driven motorcycle, the EV is really it is at the baby stage. Don't fool the customer to overpromise. And more time, we should keep ourselves on the supply chains, on the qualities, on the engineering, on the R&Ds. So if we can work together, the EV industry's image can be changed. And then customer perception will be much better compared to a couple of years ago. So the government is leading force already, help the industry to create the foundation for the bright future. As OEM, we need to working together to carefully listen to the customer and then achieve our goal. That is very big, and if correctly said by the McKinsey, that is talking about 4 years, 8 million units per year industry. And then also mentioned by government, the 35% of the vehicle will be the EV. To the two-wheelers, so we're talking about last year around 20 millions. So that's a number, sounds right. 7 to 8 millions, a huge market is wide open. So we need to have the more respect to the customer and the focus on the quality to achieve the goal together. So I hope the overall we can accelerate and achieve the goal, quickly enough, which is the milestone set by the Norway. EV sales is larger than the traditional fuel-driven vehicle sales. I hope we can see that day come to India soon enough.
Thank you, Dr. Michael, for your valuable insight and truly valuable suggestions, I'll say. And I'm sure our viewers will find it helpful and learn about the best practices highlighted by you during regarding the Norway as a forerunners in EV segment globally, and how the first such country to have electric cars overtaken the vehicles powered by petrol. and then your insight regarding how Indian government is supporting further on it, uh, and uh, and your suggestions to the consumers, investors, and also to the industry players. Thank you, Dr. Michael, for your valuable inputs and time. And we hope to, get connected soon and for similar uh, for similar views of yours, so that will keep on helping our viewers in future as well. So thank you for joining our studio, and thank you, Dr. Michael, for spending your time late evening to get this conversation for our viewers. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure, pleasure is also mine. Let's work together to achieve the goal for India for bright future, no pollution future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. Have a good
Mhm.